So this was sent to me by a patron, and I think it is just one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life. It is some dude that believes that the end times already happened and happened like a long time ago, right? And this is like a TikTok live he's done. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of it for a little bit. I can't watch the whole thing, but maybe we can return to it. But I just you gotta see some of this stuff. It's insane. So I am Brentley. This is the Punk Apostate. Let's go. So, like I said, this was sent to me. I haven't watched any of it. I think I watched like the first couple of minutes just to like see what it was all about, just kind of see what it was like. But I didn't watch any more than that. So I want to like just take a look at this for a little bit. It's quite funny. I know the other video I did today was quite serious, so I kind of wanted to, lighten it up a little bit for everybody and kind of just make fun of this idiocy because it's idiocy. This is crazy. Not that like the normal narrative that we're still waiting for Jesus to return is not stupid. It is. But this is like a special kind of stupid. You know what I mean? It's it's like stupid plus one. You know what I mean? So
I've started here on TikTok. I'll be answering questions and such. So there will be a lot of questions answered about how Jesus already returned, everything in the Bible already happened, and how we should live for God today. So, if I upload this to YouTube.
the rapture happened. Hold on, let me see here. The rapture happened. Everything in the Bible already happened. The end came. I don't know. What does that word end mean then? Anyway, Christianity is the deception. I could agree with them there. George Jester is this dude's name for Amazon books and YouTube. Okay, interesting.
Jesus Christ already returned, everything in the Bible already happened. Today we should be living for God, not Jesus.
What?
The rapture already
Okay.
took place.
Oh,
Jesus pointed at that temple, not a future temple. Jesus said not one stone in that temple would stand upon another that would not be thrown down. Christians are looking for a future temple, but that's not what Jesus said.
no.
The book of Revelation already happened. Every single thing in the Bible took place in the first century. It's not to us today. Like Romans 9:28 said, Jesus Christ came to do a short work on the earth. 1 Corinthians 15, he delivered everything back to the Father and became subject to the Father. Christianity's been fake ever since 70 AD, ever since that temple was destroyed.
What?
Today we should
Oh
be
my
living for
God.
God, not Jesus. Every writer of the Bible said that all the things in the Bible were going to happen in the first century, and they did.
It's so funny that you can end up with this kind of situation, right? Where you can have this just proves how amorphous the Bible actually is. The like how easily interpreted to be like whatever the fuck you want it to be, you know. This is just proof that I bet you Christians just can't stand this guy. He like knows the Bible as well as they do, but he's like, but that means Jesus didn't, is already done. He's not coming back.
Everything that Jesus Christ
Awesome.
prophesied about already came to pass. The temple was destroyed, like he said. That generation didn't pass until it happened. The believers fled into the wilderness. They were never heard from again. The Roman armies came and trampled the city underfoot for 42 months. The Jews fell by the edge of the sword. They were led away captive. All the blood of the prophets were required at the hands of that generation.
What?
There's nothing that we're waiting for.
What does
It
that mean? All the blood of the prophets were at the hands of that generation? What does that mean?
all happened. Jesus appeared once in the end of the world to put away sin. He ended sin so that we can have access to the Father today.
But the world didn't end though, buddy. You're kind of missing sort of a very key point here, just consistency. Let's just say how the way consistency is. The end couldn't have happened in 70 AD because where are we at now? Thousands of years later. Like, come on, man.
Christianity today has been deception for 1,953 years.
I mean, I actually agree with that one statement. That was
Every writer of the Bible said that everything was going to happen back then. John the Baptist was Elijah, is what Jesus said. And he looked at the Pharisees and he said, "O generation of vipers, who has warned you to flee?"
Why does it need to be Elijah? Does that do something for you? Oh, is it because he said the prophets will return? That's right, because I remember my mom was telling me about this. So she was reading some book, and it was the whole thing took place during it was like, you usually get in these narrative structures, you have the end times, the rapture and all that stuff. That's usually where they cover it because that's kind of like where all the fun stuff happens, right? But she was reading some fucking book that was about the 1,000-year reign of Christ, right? And so you had uh Jesus was in Israel running everything, right? And then she had like Moses, Elijah, and all these other and they were like rulers of each continent or something. Like they were really so it was all during that time. And I'm just like, well, how could you even have a narrative structure there? That's like that you won the whole time. They're just like, yep, still have won. Yep. Like, how is that fun just from a narrative perspective? But anyway, she loved it. She thought it was really something.
From the wrath to come. The wrath was coming on them, not us. If the things in the Bible are written to us, then it was lies to them back then. Jesus said some of them standing there would not taste death until they saw the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. They would
Oh, so he's actually listening to that one verse that everybody fucking seems to ignore. Like, yeah, I'll be back before you guys even die. And then he leaves and we're here 2,000 years later, like, is he coming or what, man? We're still, this this is the longest wait for a bus ever. Yeah.
would still be alive whenever he returned. That's why after he resurrected, he told Peter that Peter was going to die. Why even tell Peter that in the last chapter of the Gospel of John? Peter, you're going to die. Why even tell him that if they were all just going to die? But then Peter looked at John and said, "What about
Because it's all made up.
John? What will he do?" Jesus said, "What is it to you if I let John tarry until I come?" Because he was coming back in their lifetime. You can say, no, they
Wait, I
didn't.
don't understand. So he came back again afterwards? Like, why isn't there any scriptures of that part? Like, he came back to life, but then he flew away into the clouds, and then he came back again. Like, what is with the going and coming, man? Like, why can't he just be where he's at? Like,
I'm quoting verses
Jesus.
here. James was the brother of
I'll be right back. No, hold on. I'll be right back again. No, I'll be right back.
Jesus, user 746. He said the coming of the Lord drew nigh back then. I believe James. I don't believe you guys that say the coming of the Lord draws nigh. I believe James. James chapter 5, verse 1. He said, "Go to now." He was talking to them 2,000 years ago. He told the rich men to go to and weep and howl for their
As I said, is this guy on shrooms too? Probably. I feel like you don't have a what's the word? Perspective shift to this degree without some serious chemical like nudging going on. You know what I mean? It's like
miseries because they heaped up treasures for the last days. They had heaped up treasures for the last days. And then he said the coming of the Lord drew nigh. And that happened back then. No, Christianity would be that today.
and if you want to come back, but like you go to adamandeve.com. It's too early for an ad break, isn't it? All right. Thanks, Worm Food. You're messing up you know what, man? Come on. You can't when nobody's allowed to say come until like, at least 10 minutes into the show.
Today, Miss Universe. Real Christianity ended in 70 AD. Today's Christianity rejects everything that Jesus Christ did. They lie about everything in the Bible. They
Yeah.
say that
Yeah, this is dirt. It's like, oh, that's right. It was more yeah, it was the one that you sent me.
it didn't happen. Jesus pointed at that temple, not a future temple. He said not one stone in that temple would stand upon another. He wept over that city. He said since they didn't know the time of their visitation, that the armies were going to come compass.
That's better. Thank you. As I said, did Jesus back?
them around, cast a trench about them, keep them in on every side, and lay them even with the ground and their children within them. And that's what happened in the first century. And right after that, he said, "Behold, your house is left unto you desolate." All the blood of the prophets already came on that generation. The book of Revelation already happened. It was written to 7 churches in Asia that don't exist anymore. John was told, "Write the things which must shortly come to pass." The whole reason he was on the prison isle of Patmos was because he was in the tribulation. That's what he said in the first chapter. He said, "I, John, am your fellow brother and companion in tribulation."
So it's so interesting because I bet you that he does, like, technically, he probably does have it right according to what they thought back then, according to what the canon was up until, I don't know, I guess like somewhere in the 1st or 2nd century or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure where this would have caught on. But it does, you see what he's picking up on is, like, the stuff that they thought back, like, all of this information has been, like, re-rationalized over and over and over again when nothing happened, right? And that's sorta where we're at right now today, is this, like, we're on, like, the 200th rationalization of nothing because nothing happened.
And then those that pierced Jesus would see him and wail because of him. Jesus said, "Hold that fast, what you have already, until I come. Behold, I'm coming quickly." All of it
Okay, and if you wanna come quickly, are we 10 minutes in? We are 10 minutes in, okay. Uh, let's go to adamandeve.com. Enter code word Brentley at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order, and the packages are discreet. Let's just go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley, that's Brently, at checkout to get your exclusive offer. Get your butt some stuff. Get some stuff to come back. I don't know. All right.
already happened. Why are Christians still looking for everything to happen that already happened?
Jeez.
Hell was thrown into the lake of
Pastor said, "Jesus, come back." For most people, it's a sock, it's pretty effective.
fire. Hell only lasted about 40 years, saved by grace. There was no hellfire in the Old Testament. But whenever Jesus died, the graves were opened, and then the ones who didn't believe him, he preached all the souls in prison, in the graves, like Peter said. The ones that didn't believe him went into a place called Gehenna, and they were there for 40 years until the lake of fire.
Well, wait, the lake of fire on planet Earth already happened? Like, and so he's like, they went, okay, so all the souls of the people, they were stuck in their graves. They were just down in the casket, like, oh, fuck, I'm stuck in here. I'm going to be here for literally forever. And he's like, hold it. And it was just 40 years. And then he let him out, and they're like, oh, thank fuck. And they're like, okay, lake of fire for you guys. Oh, fuck. Come on. 40 years of a coffin, and now this.
Then they were thrown into the lake of fire, which was the second death. Satan and God are not made up. What's up, Nostradamus? Red heifers right now? Come on, man.
Satan and God are not made up. Well, I mean, no, I guess that's true. I was gonna say, well, they gotta be made up by somebody, your God, right? But I guess they're referring to the God, which never needed to exist or come into existence, therefore. Anyway.
Those red heifers came from Texas. Can you imagine a Bible prophecy coming true from red heifers coming from Texas? Like, we don't need all those things to happen. There's no temple. Do you think those heifers are going to live long enough for the temple to be built? And they're going to start sacrifices again.
What? Hold on. What is he talking about? They're red heifers in Texas. I don't live in Texas, right? But red heifers are basically everywhere, right? I don't. We have a lot of them down here because they get sunburnt and they turn. Anyway, it's a whole thing.
Or that PETA is going to allow people to do animal sacrifices again. The Euphrates River dried up back then. The Euphrates.
Oh, that would be gross. How unsanitary, now at the grocery store, you're just gonna have people be like, okay, we got the sacrifice meat over there. Try not to get the hairs all over all the stuff on this side because we have to eat this shit over here,
River dried up so that the armies of the east could walk through on dry land. It was to prepare the way for the armies of the east, or the kings of.
Emperor said red heifers equals devil burgers. That sounds like something that Aaron Ra would eat, like during some type of pepper situation going on there. I don't know. Like devil burgers. That just sounds, like the ghost pepper or whatever.
Of the east.
Which, why do they go? Is it ghost pepper? Why do they go with ghost pepper and not demon pepper? Isn't it supposed to be like hot?
We don't need rivers to dry up today. We have jets, man.
Unless I'm completely mistaken. I could be misremembering everything right now.
Fly right over rivers. No army is going to walk up to a river today with swords and chariots and say, oh man, we can't get across. The river's not dry. I know that was for them back then.
So here's where I meant to put this one up earlier. Right, so right, he gets so close to some real history, but cognitive dissonance won't let him be skeptical. So he's gone full blown conspiracy nut. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. He's like seeing all the holes that he can't ignore, like most Christians do. But then he's like weaved this like it reminds me of like you know how you have the yarn or whatever, and you're like got the push pins in the yarn. It's like if you were like looping back around the back of the board, right? And you got all of it crisscrossing over here. You got your pictures and stuff, and they're like, "But what about the back of it?" And you flip the thing over. Oh, look, it's all connected back here too. You know, that's what this reminds me of. You know,
Whenever the book of Revelation was written, it said there were 7 kings on the beast. 5 had already fallen. 1 was ruling then, and the next one would rule for a short time. Everything in the book of Revelation already happened. There's no writer of the Bible that said that these things would take place 2,000 years later.
yeah, that's right. There's no real time frames at all. You know, other than the before your lifetimes, and so that was kind of unfortunate, actually. That
Everything happens. All right, Randy Crowley, who called me Scooter. Jesus Christ said, "Woe unto you, Chorazin and Bethsaida."
I actually really like it when people go, "Look, you're a Scooter. I can tell you." It's like Bucko. I say Bucko. You know, "Look, you're Bucko. I'm gonna fucking. You know what? Get out of here."
You got gray hair, right? You probably know who
Scoot.
Chorazin and Bethsaida were.
Love it.
They don't exist anymore. He told the cities of Chorazin and Bethsaida that they would have great wrath in the day of judgment. They don't exist. They're buried. You would need
Yeah, so this guy is no James Earl Jones. I'm almost glad because then it would be too compelling, you know, and so we're like, "Dude, we got to start believing this now. We got to. Dude, that was the dude sounded like James Earl Jones. It's got to be true. It's got to be true, you know." So
an archaeologist to dig them up. In that same verse, he told the apostles, he said, "You will not have gone over all the cities in Israel before the Son of Man be come." In the same passage, same chapter.
what
What
about
are
don't they say like what is the one that everybody always says where it's like we got to wait until the entire world has heard the gospel or whatever. Is that what he's talking about here? Like all was it just the tribes of Israel have heard the gospel? Is that what it was, or was it the entire planet? Because these Christians keep getting shot by arrows and spears trying to tell people that don't give a fuck. They don't want you there. Okay. Your diseases kill people. Okay. Just stay the fuck away from your island. But they keep going there. I'm like, but we need the earth to be able to end. Can you just hear about they do.
the facts? The facts are everything Jesus Christ said already came to pass. Was the temple destroyed like he said? He didn't prophesy anything else. Tell me something else he prophesied. Why isn't anything else coming to your mind that Jesus prophesied about? Because the only things that he prophesied about was the temple's destruction, which happened in the 1st century. He pointed at that temple. He said, "Do you see this temple adorned with goodly stones?"
Let's see. Saw Emma Thorne's latest video on some Australian Jesus cult earlier this day. Really, really good work. Oh, I love Emma. She does really good. Does anybody know how old she is? I cannot figure it. She is like a 13 going on 30 situation, or the opposite, or with it, or the 17 again. I don't know which one. I can't figure it out. Like so, but there's a magic jewel something going on there. Okay, she is definitely growing up in a young person's body. I don't I don't know. I don't know. I'm so confused about it. So
Not one stone in this temple shall stand upon another. And it happened. Hasn't been rebuilt in 2,000 years, never will be. The armies did come and trample the city. The believers fled into the wilderness. The Jews fell by the edge of the sword. They were led away captive into all nations. All of it happened in history, like Jesus said.
oh my god, this dude is too funny. All right. Yeah, before the apostles died, exactly. I think that's what we're all talking about here. So mind you, a prophecy that wasn't recorded until after the temple was already gone. Yeah, that tends to be how they do things. It's kind of like the Four Kingdoms, which that was the one that was really compelling to me when I was a Christian, was the Daniel chapter of Daniel, Four Kingdoms. And I can't remember what the kingdoms were exactly, but it was like in order, all the different kingdoms that sort of took over in that area or whatever, right? And so I was like, how could they have known that if it wasn't written until, if it was written way before those kingdoms came to pass or whatever. Turns out now it wasn't. It was like 100. It was like dated like 100 years earlier, and it was written in two different languages. One of the languages was a more modern language, and that was where the interpretations were. So therefore, it was they just said that it was a prophecy later, but all the people from that time knew that they were just recording it and just saying, "Oh, this prophecy means this," and sort of just writing that in the holy text in a completely different language. Anyway, but it was I think it was Prophet Azad. Zod? I always forget the guy's name. The fuzzy faced dude. He always talks like this. Nice guy. But yeah, it was that he did a video on it. It's very interesting.
This generation will not pass until all these things are fulfilled. Some of you standing here will not taste death until you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Muslims also rejected Jesus Christ. You guys went back to the law and the prophets, and you don't even think that he was the Son of God. Matthew 24:15-16.
Little monotone snark going on there. That's what I sense some snark.
What do you want to know about that?
Oh, and pot use?
Give me
I think maybe he's just got really, really good pot. Maybe we were off on the shrooms thing. Maybe it's just pot. I feel like with shrooms, you'd figure it out. You'd be like, no, this is stupid. I'm wrong. I'm tripping. Weed doesn't do that. You're just like, I am right still because I am still high from 7 years ago.
A few words and I'll know what it says. I don't have chapter and verse memorized.
Oh, well.
But give me a few words.
Well, then what are you even doing, man? What do you even think this is, man? Come on. Get your nose in the word, bucko.
Words and I'll know.
See, bucko, it works.
What's the point of us now? Jesus Christ came to do a short work on the earth, is what it said. And he delivered all things back to the Father. He ended sin, Satan, and the grave. We're no longer judged for our flesh. That's why there's no grave today.
That's what it is. Okay, yeah, I love Prophet Azad. One of the best in our circles. Absolutely, totally agree. I really enjoy his content. He's actually I'm trying to figure out how to do like pre-recorded type of stuff, and Zod and Ember actually are the two that I'm kind of focusing on, like looking at and kind of seeing if I can do what they can do. It's hard though. I have to say, y'all are. Oh, my goodness, it's too much reading, and I can't. It just anyway.
Whenever we die, we'll see a light. We're supposed to be worshiping God today because Jesus ended sin and allowed us to do that. He ended the law. He ended the old covenant. He gave us back to God. God was in him reconciling the world to himself.
God was in him reconciling the world to himself. Why do you need to do that, man? Like he's in himself doing a thing for whatever. Like, my goodness, how convoluted do they think? Like, is it just? It almost makes me think if it's like some being that can continuously go back in time or something, and they just keep on like resetting, and there's just like a million of them by the end because they like keep going back in time, but it's still all fucked up. They're like, man, I thought this would be easier.
God put all things, or delivered all things to Christ. Christ reigned until the resurrection, and then he delivered everything back to the Father and became subject to
It's like Amber's like, don't look at me, I'm terrible at this show. No, that's awesome. And you're not. That's just not true.
Father, that's 1 Corinthians 15. Yeah, you can still go to heaven, but you got to be an honest person.
Oh,
the problem we have today is people are still judging for sin, Gracie. They're saying, don't eat this, don't drink that, don't watch this, don't listen to that. They all think they're better in the flesh.
He sounds like he doesn't find what he's saying compelling. That's what that sounds like. That's because people today are stupid or something.
After the rapture in 70 AD, the devil was bound. No, the devil was bound before the rapture. And it never says peace, chosen's, whatever, shine.
Oh, wait. So that means the devil's dead? So the devil's like still in the lake of fire right now, according to this dude? I'm kind of interested to see where the devil is now since everything already happened.
Never says peace. Never said that there would be peace. That's just the word that you guys add. There was never 1,000 years of peace.
Oh, right.
The Euphrates dried up.
No, it's 1,000-year reign of Christ. And I don't know if it said peace, because I thought it was like the judgment was supposed to, according to that weird book that my mom was reading that I was talking about, the judgment was still going around on, and all the Christians, this is why they love this type of stuff. All the Christians were superheroes that came back to life. Jesus is now in the reign of Christ. Jesus is ruling the world in Israel. Moses and Elijah and all the rest of like different continents and all over, right? And they're ruling. And the Christians are going and scooping up all of those evil atheists, and then they're taking them back with magic, with their magic powers to be judged by all the prophets and Jesus.
That back then, the armies called 10 legions of Roman soldiers, those were the 10 kings on the beast. They weren't given a kingdom as of yet whenever John wrote the book of Revelation, but they were given power 1 hour with the beast. And in 70 AD, Rome called 10 legions of soldiers up.
So Wormfood's an artist, but I don't understand what you mean. It's so funny how I went through 2 judicial committees for drawing monsters when I was inspired by that book. Not really sure what you mean by that, but it sounds like quite the tale. I was like, I will, yeah, let me know what's going on. It sounds interesting.
And they walked across the Euphrates on dry land, where they were out furthering the Roman Empire. We don't need rivers to
Oh
dry
man,
up.
I remember that show. It was a Hanna-Barbera, wasn't it? The purple, they were like purple. They were like this purple costumes, and then they had like the ring. But yeah, I don't know. It was like that show and the one with the genie or something. I don't know.
Today,
That's
we
funny.
have jets. We can just fly right over them. Isaiah 66 talks about peace. It doesn't say 1,000 years of peace. I'm talking about there's no 1,000-year reign of peace. It never said peace.
No, it said Christ.
Actually, nobody was saved during the 1,000 reign. Nobody knew. And
Nobody knew Jesus was reigning. Jesus is like, well, this is fucking useless. Nobody even knows what I'm in charge, damn it. I'm in charge. Nobody's
saved after the
listening.
1,000-year reign. And the 1,000-year reign wasn't even 1,000 years.
Oh, well, then the book. So even according to your thing, your weird, like, I don't even know, sub narrative belief here isn't, the Bible isn't accurate. So you're literally saying that you're still taking liberties, even though you're saying that they're all taking liberties, but the liberties that you are taking are correct. Okay, got it.
It was just 42 months.
This is 42
They've been in
months.
New
Well,
Jerusalem.
that's quite, and that's off by quite a bit. Okay, 42 month and 1,000 years. Well, what the fuck? That scribe needs to be fired. That's what that is.
For 1,953 years. Whenever Old Jerusalem was destroyed, they went up into New Jerusalem. That's why the dead in Christ are waiting under the altar as they died. There's no altar to wait under today.
Sorry.
But they knew that's where Jesus Christ would
I'll get to that.
return and destroy the.
Okay, so judicial committees are private interrogations held by Jehovah's Witness elders to determine if someone needs shunned. Holy fuck. I didn't get disfellowshipped, but I got marked, publicly humiliated from the stage. Wow. Yeah, I see why people say that Jehovah's Witness is a cult. I don't know much about it, but the stories I've heard, I get cult vibes, like hardcore cult vibes. You know what I'm saying from that shit. Jesus, that's insane. Lisa said, "I love the way Google is killing the church." Me too. Me too, Lisa. Totally. Let's see. Ember said Jesus was an invisible monarch. Like 45 is still president. That's such a good. That is such a good simile there. Yeah, they treat Trump like Trump's still a president, just not being the president. And Jesus was reigning for 1,000 years or 42 months, whichever one. But nobody knew it. That is too funny. Let's see here. Oh, they're talking to each other. Sorry. All right.
Man of sin that sat in the temple with the brightness of his coming and the word of his mouth. The dead in Christ are waiting under the altar. He returned. They went up to heaven. They've been in a heavenly Jerusalem the whole time.
What?
The mark in the right hand forehead are the name of the beast.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Wouldn't know the name of the beast because that's old Hebrew and we don't have it anymore. But the mark of the beast was the law. Whenever the law was given, it was added to the first covenant as a curse. And in Exodus and Deuteronomy.
I love how they can just literally just turn things into anything they want. Now, a mark on your head or forehead or forehead. That's a punk band name, Forehand. I like that. That's good. Um, but a mark on your hand or forehead is now just the law. It's just the law. Jesus.
When it was given, he said, "Bind this upon your hand and let it be for frontlets between your eyes." He said, "Let this
Oh,
be for
see,
a sign upon your hand and a memorial
all
between your
it's all a big puzzle. It's all coming together, man. Because they said, take your hand and put it on your foot. Whoa. Jesus.
Jesus called them phylacteries back then. Now they're called teflon. But the Jews will wrap a box around their arm and on their
The stuff that you use to keep eggs from sticking to the pan?
head, and they have a little Torah scroll in it. That's what John saw in the 10th chapter of the book of Revelation. He ate the little scroll. The angel put one foot on the sea and one foot on the earth. One
I love the eating the scrolls thing. That's some interpretation error from way back, and then they just kept it like eating the scroll. Yeah, so I guess I was eating the scroll. I don't know. I don't know. Just keep it riding it. Yeah, Toby, this one I know this one's weird. Just right, eating the scroll. I don't know either. But that's what it. I mean, come on, okay.
beast came up out of the sea, one beast came up out of the earth, and he had a little scroll in his hand, small enough to eat. And John ate it, and seven thunders uttered their voices and told him what the mark of the beast was, and he wasn't supposed to ride it. But that was the mark of the beast back then. They kept the
It
law.
was small enough to eat the scroll. Okay, yeah, it was like a teeny tiny little. This sounds like Alice in Wonderland shit, you know. And it made him real small, and then he could go through the tiny door because he ate the scroll.
And rejected Jesus Christ. They tried to save the temple that he said would be destroyed, and they were destroyed. They rejected Jesus for the law, the curse that he came to fulfill. Do you know what year we're in? I don't care what year
Oh,
we're in. Brutal viper, teacher of the word, doesn't mean anything. What about Daniel's prophecy? Which part?
I love it. He's like, that part's just stupid. Not even. No, I'm not even going to look at that one. That doesn't mean anything at all. That is in there for 0 reasons. Moving on.
Think about what Daniel was told. He said, God told him, or the angel Gabriel, he said, seal up the vision and the prophecy, for it won't.
So this is talking about coming out of the Jehovah's Witness cult, really. Winfrey said, I wound up homeless the moment I turned 19. Jesus Christ, 19 and homeless. That's awful. Because I was about to graduate and my parents put me out. I still believed for a while, and the cognitive dissonance kept me affiliated for years after. Yeah, I did the same thing happened to me, man. Like I was put out by my family. They like, called the cops on me and everything and wouldn't let me be at the house. So I was like homeless for a while. And when you're in that destitute type of situation, it's really difficult in that moment to let go of your beliefs because you're kind of like you need something to rely on at all, just anything, and so yeah, you end up like grabbing on to your beliefs harder, even though you can see they're falling apart, they're turning to dust in your hands, and you're still like just trying to grab the dust out of the air because you're just like, I need this to be, like, but that's because you're like literally outside, waking up with your shoes stolen off your feet when anyway, it's the whole fucking, I get it, man, that sucks, I'm sorry.
Won't be for many days. He said, but it's for the time of the end, right? John saw the same things as Daniel. John was told, seal not the words of the book of that prophecy, for the time was at hand. In other words, it was the end. That's why right after that it said, Jesus said he was coming quickly and his reward was with him. And it was written to the 7 churches in Asia that don't exist anymore.
Oh.
If you're talking about Daniel's prophecy of Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh, is he? I feel like he doesn't know how to do the blue screen thing, the TikTok blue screen thing. He messed it up.
Nebuchadnezzar's dream, that was Babylon, the head of gold. The Medes and the Persians came in Daniel's lifetime and took over the head of gold. And then the next thing that happened was Greece came.
So I asked, do you still have contact with them? And Webb said, yeah, but minimal. They never messaged me first, except for when Grandpa was died. Yeah, same here. Same thing. And it's very simple. That's wild how similar our situations are. Yeah, that I have to basically call them for them to contact me, or it's like you said, like a gratuitous somebody died, so we got to tell you, or like something happened, but usually it's like only the most significant stuff that they'll call me about. I try to call them, I try to call like my family every so often, like maybe once every couple of months or something, and just have a conversation. and it's always all right. They're not terrible people or anything. I think they are good people. They just are completely misled, and their cognitive dissonance and their need to believe these things outweighs their concern for their relationships in their life and everything. So
The great king Alexander the Great, whenever that horn was broken off, it was divided into 4 parts, and then Rome came, the Iron Kingdom.
he is going with the horn thing. Then the horn turned into 4 horns, and then one of the 4 horns ate the other horns, and then it becomes another horn, and then it gets a little crown. And it's
And
so
then in
stupid.
63 BC, Rome allowed Israel back into their land, and they became a nation again in time for Christ. The wall was built in perilous times, and the street was made straight in time for the Messiah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he did write a script. So Warford said he wrote a script for the video. I don't know where he's getting his dates and scriptures, but he also has a book on Amazon. My God. Jeez. Amazon just takes anybody, apparently. I don't. Man, I need to write a book. That's what I need to do. Amazon will do it.
And they mixed themselves, the iron and the clay, Rome and Israel. Years 6,000, 6 years.
Yeah, he's cool. I've hung out with him a couple times on like the Right to Reason podcast back in the day, as well as something else I can't remember. But yeah, he's a cool guy. Really nice dude. Holy Kool-Aid. I can't think of what the hell is his name. It's brain fuck. I don't know.
Years left. No.
It's like
September 23rd is nothing. If you believe that that sign just happened, I know a lot of people are talking about the sign in the heavens with Virgo and everything.
Thomas. Yes, thank you, Thomas Westbrook. Yeah, that's oh, you didn't even say it. It just dawned on me. I thought weird. I thought somebody's. Oh my goodness, that was really strange. I like saw it on the page, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Thomas Westbrook." This does not say Thomas Westbrook anywhere. It's like, that is really funny. I just like thought of it and then thought I saw. See how how messy the brain is. See, this is why you need skepticism, and to learn how the brain works, because it really does help when you understand how the brain works. I would recommend the Stephen Novella. What is it? The Think Like a Scientist course on Great Courses Plus on Audible. Check that one out. And then Shermer has one too, but I don't know if I'd recommend him. He's a bad person. But anyway,
Thanks, 12 stars. But if you believe that that's happening now, then you're rejecting the birth of Jesus, because that was talking about the birth of Jesus. That happened whenever Jesus was born. The woman clothed with the sun had 12 stars on her crown.
People were talking about the birth of Jesus whenever Jesus was born. Good takeaway, buddy. You really thought that one. Yeah,
that was Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. She travailed in birth and brought forth a man-child. Israel birthed Christ. Jesus Christ was born.
Oh man, they should have like a proof of God liquor. That'd be a good atheist brand of liquor, like Sparkle Donkey tequila. Something to do with your dicks or something. I don't know. I can't remember their thing.
Dragon tried to devour the child as soon as it was born. Herod tried to kill all the babies around Bethlehem under 2 years old as soon as Jesus was born. But Jesus was caught up to the throne.
All the babies under 200 years old? There was a disconnect there somewhere, man. But that sentence is complete. How do you have babies under 200 years old? They could be, 6 months or 157. The babies can be either one.
Into God. And then there was war in heaven. Michael and the angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon against the angels. And the dragon's tail drew a third part of the stars and did cast them to the earth. That's the stars of heaven falling.
What? When did that? How did that? What?
That happened back then, not today.
Oh, they were just flinging stars back then. You're right. Yeah, I didn't even think. Of course, because that's the way fucking stars work.
I thought after the rapture, God destroys the heaven and the earth. It's not what it said. It said there'd be a new heaven and a new earth, but there was no word earth back then. It was the word land. No, we only have the word earth.
Technically, he's right. Technically, all babies are under 200 years old.
slated around
That's awesome.
Galileo's time and King James's time. Before that, it was just land, and it was talking about Israel. It was saying whenever old Jerusalem was destroyed, they would have a new land in heaven. It actually said it would not be here on the earth. Jesus said if anybody said that his kingdom or that Jesus came back down to earth, he said, do not believe them. They are false Christ. If they say he's in the desert, don't go after them. If they say he's in the secret chambers, don't believe him. He said the kingdom of heaven came without observation. You couldn't say, look, it's here, or lo, it's there, because they were going up into the
So it's like a magical kingdom that's invisible. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. It's fun. I would probably need to say that too. Remember, guys, the kingdom's invisible. I'm a cult leader. You guys better listen to what I'm saying. It's right there. You just can't see it. It's invisible. But all right, y'all, I got to start getting ready. But thanks so much for hanging out. And if you want to come back or come on your back, just like Jesus, adamandeve.com, enter code word Brantley and check out to get 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. And the packaging is discreet, as much as that sucks. The If you put in the code BRENTLY, that's Brentley at checkout to get your exclusive offer. Go to adamandeve.com, enter code word BRENTLY, and get your exclusive offer. It's awesome. Great sex toys. Lots of sex, it really spices up the time in the room. You can do strap-on stuff, or you can, not do that stuff. You can just do other I can't think of any other stuff to do because that shit's really fun. But but hey, thank y'all for hanging out. This is a lot of fun. If you want to support the show, there's a myriad of ways you can do that. And I will get them in the show notes by the end of today. But if you go back a couple episodes now, you'll see all of the different ways you can support the show. The easiest is, to like and subscribe. That always super duper helps. But if you want to help us financially, that'd be great. And I have Cash App, and my cash tag is Apostate, all one word, and that really helps big time, especially right now. Oh my goodness, it's Florida's like become unlivable. Holy shit, we are drowning. We're trying to look at moving because wow, it's it's difficult, but no, that's a conversation for another time. But thank you all so much for hanging out, and you should make sure you stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate, and we will see you next time.